Iorì Wase's podcast is brought to you by First Nations Fiber.
Have you ever been gaming or working online classes and your internet service constantly gets interrupted? First Nations Fiber is about to ensure that just won't happen again. Get ready for high speed at a new level. Click on fnfiber.com and sign up today. First Nations Fiber, empowering people through connectivity.
Hello, and welcome to the Beading Table with your hosts, Degunhyakwa Stand-Up and Leith Makiwa. We are entering episode number 10. 2 more to a full year. Very exciting.
God,
Can you believe
crazy.
that? We've already passed our 3rd season. We are in the fall, which is AKA beading and crafting season, the starting of all of that. That is wonderful for all our creatives out there. All of you know that come the cool nights or cool days is when you want to be in your house and be working meticulously, feverishly to finish projects for those summer deadlines. Speaking of deadlines, I know that you are busy working on projects that cannot be named at the moment, but how is it going?
It's going. It is still going. It's not killing me. I'm still okay with it. I'm still loving it. It's just taking long. It's just, I'm still trying to dedicate the time to doing it. So it's crazy, like how things sometimes have to work. Like I just asked somebody to work for me for the next 2 days at the store so that I could sit at home uninterrupted. Kids are home, like at school. Mm-hmm. Greg's at work. So I can just sit and get through it. So
and clean your house, you said, though.
Yeah. So I have to allot some time. It's just windows that I got to do at the house, but I want to do that, and I also have to do all this work. Because I am down to 30 days. No, less. What am I talking about?
We are in October.
Yeah. I have
let's say 19.
Yeah, 19 days. So I gotta, light that fire under my ass and start going, like, getting to it now. So I'm a little less than halfway. Mm-hmm. I'm still not worrying yet, but if more things start popping up and I don't have the time, then I'm going to start worrying. But right now I'm okay. I'm good. I think I'll...
And you took it on the road with you this weekend? Your son had lacrosse? And
yeah, but I didn't really get to it. I didn't even get through one of the things that I had to do. So
I hear you about that.
Disappointed. Yeah, I couldn't. On the way home, all of a sudden I got car sick and I could not do it. And I ended up just like sleeping. Going there though, I worked on part of it. So that got done at least. But then while we were there, it was just too crazy. Like I couldn't, I think I worked on one night while we were there and that was it. We were there like 4 days. So.
But I think that's the thing, like even for myself, like I went away for a vacation basically and I brought my beadwork and I worked on it on the plane. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't work on, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be on the beach and we'll be beading. Yeah, right. Like I wasn't doing that and I didn't do it on the way home because I also suffered some what I thought was motion sickness, but I'm not sure exactly what it was. So I couldn't bead on the way back either. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the intention of a lot of people who are creatives. And now we're using this catchphrase, creatives, where you take it with you when you go on trips or maybe even just a road trip, like 2 hours. It's like, yeah, I'm going to bring my beadwork. And it just sits at the bottom of the bag by your feet, waiting to be used, but never being done. Mm-hmm. So if anybody else out there has some traveling tales on how to keep motivated while traveling, maybe that's a good question. How to keep motivated to continue to be crafty, to be doing beadwork while you're traveling and going to do hockey. I know some people, some moms or some dads might be like in the arenas getting ready to do that and spend a lot of hours in the arenas. How do you like maintain momentum, I guess, is one of the things.
Yeah.
I think we have a hard time with momentum, like following through.
Yeah, it's like I had every intention and I was like, yes, I'm going to get like a couple things done and it'll be great. And I think it just broke up I just broke it all up. Just because personally, I don't like sitting in hotel rooms. I don't like feeling confined and all that. And especially when I'm at a new place, I want to be out and about and seeing everything. So it's not like we're in the hotel long enough for me to sit and really get into a flow of it. Yeah. I'd have to get up super early, which this time I couldn't because we had to be up early anyways for his games. So we were always up pretty much every day about 7:30. Everyone's showering and frantic now trying to get ready because we got to get to the arena. And by the time we'd get home, we were fried. Like everyone was tired. I was going straight to bed. So one day I did bring it to the arena, but like I said, it's some of the games now we're getting so much more exciting, and I can't bead while I'm doing
Trying
that.
to watch, yeah.
So it just didn't happen. So I had good intentions, but the road to hell is whatever paved
with good intentions.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried yet. So hopefully the next 2 days and probably today. So that was our another little.
Yes, we had
surprise. Today I got a text from Leith, and she said the store stinks like cabbage.
Yeah, I went to this weekend. You were away, and I wasn't at the store. I was also busy doing other things, and so nobody was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in, I'm like, "What is that?" There's something, and there was a mishap before where the garbage wasn't being taken out, and
yes,
it left a foul smell.
Yeah.
So I knew this time Margaret had already did that. The Guriheko had already did all of the prep so that nothing would be lingering. But still, there was this awful smell. And I was like, what? Is it my office? Did I throw No, my office was fine. It was the same. As soon as I opened the bathroom, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And you know what? I was thinking, I was like, okay, I kept thinking, did I leave something somewhere? Like maybe I tied up a bag of garbage and I didn't throw it in the big, So
Yeah.
I'm like thinking that wait, some of the plants are dying. Are they rotting? But I'm like, no, that wouldn't. Yeah, when I got there, I opened the door and I got punched in the face with the smell. So, yeah, definitely. So there was something wrong. Thankfully, my brother and the overseers of the building was standing there. So I was like, okay, guys.
And it didn't start in our unit, but it had lingered into our unit. So luckily, once they figure out what's going on, it should clear itself up. But how long will it take for that smell to dissipate? We're not entirely sure. So today is what? Today is a free day for Guriheko.
Yeah. So yay. So it's blessing in disguise, I guess. Silver lining.
I have to work from home now because I was going to work at the shop. But whatever.
But it stinks. So no. Yeah. So I get an extra day. So that's 3 days now. At least I'll have to.
Yeah, to do your stuff.
To get some stuff done. So.
Or you do all your windows today and then have to. That's a good idea. You do all your work today that you have to do for your house, and then you do your next 2 days full.
Focus on that, because it's beautiful today. At least I'll have nice weather, and I just got to fight with big fat juicy spiders. So we'll see how it goes. But so that's the plan.
That's the downside of having windows, I guess, right? Lots of windows.
Oh my god!
Or the downside of you really wanting to see your view, whereas me, I'm like, I don't care what I'm looking at, so I don't really care about my windows.
My windows right now are so bad though. We get that fluff. And normally I
in the
wash
spring, in the summer.
Yeah, in the summer, but ours it stays even longer and it just picks everything up and whatever. So normally I do my windows I don't know, a big wash a couple of times in the season, spring and then summer and then fall, whatever. I don't even think I did it this summer. So my windows are gross. It's the screens all have to be taken out and scrubbed and washed and all that. And one window, I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? I can't see out of this one now. We have so many spiders in the area.
Oh.
It's covered with cobwebs and it's covered with all that dust and fluff. And we have a dirt road, so it gets even worse. Anyways, yeah. So that's what I'll be doing today. Fighting spiders and all that other shit. Yeah. So yeah. So what else do we have today?
Well, today we are going to basically we asked our listeners via our Instagram page some of the questions that they have for us. And then we have something that we like to call role reversal, where we are not the creators of pieces. We are the purchasers and clients. Well, someone is a client here, but it's not me. So I'll just leave it like that. So it's called role reversal. And we'll talk about that after our questions. So our first question is, as a beater, how often do you make yourself something?
Never.
I don't know when I made myself. I made my wedding dress. That's something I made for myself, which was 13 years ago.
Yeah, the only
12 years ago.
Thing that I have for myself that was actually intended for me was a pair of moccasins that I made. Actually, you taught us when I was in...
Oh, they were near that.
Yeah, 10 years ago maybe.
Yeah.
And I can't even wear them because they're all blown to shit now. They have big giant holes in the bottoms and...
That's good though.
Yeah, I wore them to death. So they're in my hutch now, but the last thing I made intentionally for myself. I have other things, but they weren't intentional. It was just like I made them and I loved them, so I kept them. But it wasn't like, okay, this is going to be for me, you know?
Well, that picture frame you had made, right?
Yeah.
That's you kept?
I kept that one and that.
But it was supposed to be a raffle, then you didn't want to raffle it off.
Yeah,
right?
I just really love it. It was more of a remembrance almost to my grandparents. So I was like, I'm going to keep this. Like it just felt like them when I finished it. So I'm like, no, I'll keep this. And then the Ganawage thing from Nisia's, the community.
Yes. Okay, I have
kept
that too.
One. Yeah, but that's
but
another
it wasn't
thing.
really made from, like I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, it wasn't intentionally like with all kinds of thought, like, oh, I'm going to keep this type of thing.
Well, no, I just wanted to see if I could beat it backwards. I remember I beaded it without looking at it.
Without looking at it at all.
That is so wild. That is crazy when I think of it now. Maybe I have to post a photo of it.
Mm-hmm. And share it up.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. And then I also went to one of the Iroquois beadwork conferences maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And they did a little pincushion type thing. And there was a bird. A bird was beaded on it. And that I kept just because it was like a project we made there. So that's something. So that's the most recent thing. But I didn't.
Oh, wait, your moccasins for Santa Fe.
Oh, so yeah. So the last thing I did make was like 4 months ago. I made a pair of moccasins.
Which you had to take a class though.
I took a class with Merit
delegate the time.
Cross to dedicate myself, and I finished them. And I wore them one day in Santa Fe because it rained. So I wore them one time there. I've worn them here. I probably wear them when we have Harvest Festival in 2 or 3 weeks. So that's okay. But yeah, I did make myself something. But that's the thing. It's like even those kind of things you don't even kind of keep track of because everything is usually made for either an order or for somebody else just to give away.
Mm-hmm.
What's the last thing you made? Completed.
Oh my God.
Was it your daughter's stuff?
Yeah.
Or was it before then?
No, I'd have to say
The yoke? A yoke?
I did but that they were.
But the last thing you completed.
I think it was the cuffs and purse. That's what it was.
Okay. For that order that you had already been. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that order's done completely. Everything is finished?
No.
Okay.
Just the moccasins, but literally there's about an hour's worth of work on it left.
Oh, just a moccasin, an hour left. Oh.
Yeah, they're done, but everything's going to get done once this other order's, because this one has a deadline. So I have I'm in the same place still. I feel like I'm in limbo, but yeah. So as soon as this stuff's done, then I can bust those out. It'll be all finito.
Yeah. Then we got all kinds of other stuff coming down. Anyway, okay. So the next thing is, so here is a very like a physio question. Do you ever get sore wrists? And if you do, what helps to get rid of that soreness?
I had very interesting thoughts on that last time. So yes, I do get sore wrists. Last year, we were talking kind of like briefly about this at the shop last week. So last year, I had an order. And by even last year, I was so done with orders. I was just done with.
I can't remember the conversation.
I just didn't want to be committed to anything anymore. It wasn't about the order or the person or anything like that. It was just a commitment. I just did not want to do it. And it was killing me no, it wasn't last year. Sorry, it was 2 years ago because last year I really enjoyed it. It was the year before. And every day I just kept thinking like, well, what if I just didn't finish this order? Like what would happen? Like, what if I just have to say like, I can't do it or, and I was just freaking out and whatever, to the point where I am a firm believer in, what you think is what you create, and the connection between your emotional and mental side and how your body reacts and listens to what you think and how you feel. So during all that time and having so much internal turmoil, I ended up with carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
And it slowed me down to the point where I almost had to say I couldn't do it. And I felt guilty on top of it because I kind of felt like, did I just bloody work myself into getting an injury to not have to do this? But I'm like, no, we're just pushing through this now and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my last injury, I guess. No, I broke my damn finger, but yeah, I think I play those things into some of my my injuries because I've been beading for so long and I never had any issues until I worked myself into like a stress ball and
and then it just happened to you.
Yeah, but I do get sore hands, sore wrists, sore shoulders. I see a chiropractor once a month, and sometimes I have to see an osteopath. for my neck and my back, because when you bead, you're always hunched over.
Yeah.
So I do have to see, and I have old injuries from sports, so all of the combination is not the best sometimes. So you do, like, as you get older, I do recommend that they take care of your body, like,
that you only have one.
Yeah, exactly. And this is our bread and butter, like, take care of yourself. See a chiropractor, see a masseuse, see whatever. Fix it. Don't wait.
Don't wait. Yeah.
And what about you? How are your hands?
Well, it's funny because this morning I saw somebody post about how it was cold out and they were so thankful for heated seats and heated steering wheel. And I said to Margaret, I said, next time I get a car, I'm getting heated steering wheel because these money makers need to have warmth. And I think for me, it's not necessarily sore wrists, but I get sore like between my thumb and my index finger, like on my hand there, like
the
that
muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, that part there. I get there from holding, and it's not necessarily my dominant hand. It's usually my left hand because I'm holding whatever piece I'm trying to manipulate or whatnot. So that's where I tend to have like soreness, but it's not necessarily injuries or anything from the actual beadwork itself. It's injuries sustained from like holding my phone on my left hand, because you have to have like that thing on the back of your hand, the back of like the poppet. I think it's called poppet sockets. We're not advertised by them. Pop sockets, sorry. And I use that because I noticed that because I was holding my hand without the pop socket, it was creating this like carpal tunnel or whatever it was. And that was being more of a hindrance than anything than actual beadwork.
I totally have to agree with you, because I just recently had to change my phone case because I used to have an OtterBox for my phone and it was heavy. So it was killing my wrists and my thumbs from holding it constantly. I had to get a lighter case. So yeah, definitely. And the new case I got is like a weird texture. Nothing sticks to it. So now I have my thing on it. So thankfully it's like lighter, but it's weird.
Yeah, so that's one thing I noticed. But what I do is I always like rotate my wrists. Like I give myself a little break. When I remember, I rotate my wrists. I also extend my arm and pull my hand back, and that usually like cracks like whatever's there. I used to be a crack my fingers kind of gal, but now I stopped because I don't think it's very good. I'm not 100% sure, but I think, like, I'm not sure if it leads to arthritis or anything. I'm not a medical professional, but I think that maybe just leaving my hands alone is good, but like, extending them, opening and closing them and doing that kind of stuff and really like moving them, because when they're stagnant, I know that would be a problem.
My osteopath did tell me not to crack your knuckles.
So so there you go.
And not necessarily arthritis, but he just said it is not good for your hands.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I used to be a big one for that. Now I'm not anymore.
I still do it.
And so, but I try to like really extend and lift my arms up and do all that kind of stuff.
Exercise it.
Yeah, but I think like you're right in terms of like if you have a kink, like I have a kink in my neck and I should get it fixed, but I haven't yet and just no time. But I think like, like if it's not because you're trying to sustain yourself because you're an artist in terms of working your hands or anything, just in general, just take care of your body. You only have one. Just like mobility is important. Mobility. So, and flexibility and all that kind of stuff. So
I just recently bought something from Alicia Cook too. Oh, I wish I wasn't prepared, but I have, it's called, I think it's bear salve or it's bear something, but there is bear grease in it and there's different essential oils and stuff like that. And she's the creator of it, but it's for kind of like trauma, like, for inflammation, if you've had like an accident on your hands, your body or whatever. Yep. So because I'm pretty sure this is like a lifelong thing now with my broken finger or whatever, even though it should be okay now, it's still painful and it still hurts and whatever. So I ordered that from her and she shipped it here and I put that on and it really did help. Like it takes some of the edge off of it. Like, so that was another good product that I started using just for the pain and stuff like that. So, sometimes those things help too.
But if you're really struggling, we both advocate that you go see a professional in whatever it is you choose, modern medicine, traditional medicine, whatever it is, seek out professional help for those kind of things. So.
Yes.
So another one is, so this is a question that you were also posed, but not through the beading table website or to the Instagram page. It said, would it be possible to do a mini Aosku Ganyagaha bead podcast?
Mm-hmm.
So how did this come about for you?
I was in a softball tournament 2 weekends ago and I met with Will Garrow, one at Dio. Garrow, and it was just funny because I don't know him. Like that was the first time I really met him, but I think I've seen him here and there at different like language things and all that, but I never talked with him or met him. So anyways, we were in a softball tournament in Ganastage 2 weeks ago, and he was like, what's your Ganyagaha name? So I said it, and I said Degor Hiakwa, and he was like, do you have a podcast? And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I had to laugh. I'm like, yeah. I said, I do. And I'm like, why do you listen? And he was like, well, he's like, I listened to one and whatever. So that's how we got started on the topic. So he had asked, he said, well, do you speak? Are you a speaker? So I said, I can. I said, but I'm not,
I'm not practicing. No, just kidding.
I'm not a practicing speaker. Like I do and I don't. Like, I don't know why.
We can, but we just don't.
But we don't. Yeah, it's habit. It's just habit.
Own badness.
Yeah. So it's bad habits. Yeah. So he said, did you ever think of doing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I did think about it before, but I think I'm limited on my language to do it fully. I don't have all the vocabulary, all the verbs and stuff like that to keep up with it. And then I find sometimes when I'm on the spot, I can't think. So I get like, oh my God. And then I get home and everything's like easier. And then I can remember, oh yeah, this and this. So I panic. I tend to panic in these situations. So it would be nice. It would be something that I think I would have to script for myself or have reminders of my topics or words or verbs or nouns or whatever. So, but yeah, I don't know.
I think we could do it. Like I think it would be a lot easier if we had somebody else to.
Yeah,
because then it's always easier in larger numbers. I think for myself, like
because then I could just fade. No,
I could just fade out, and then we could just. talk.
I could carry some. I can talk a bit, and I can carry some, but it's not like I said. It's like it was so eye opening when I took the Diwanahneer. That's to find out like with that ASLA what the criteria, I guess, for being a fluent speaker is, but you have to have language in different areas of your life and not just in like the home, not just
ceremonial. It has to be,
Like if I go to Rugley's and I'm going to start talking about mechanics with somebody, like I don't have that vocabulary. I don't know it, Yeah. In beadwork, I am a beader and I have some, but it's limited still. So it's interesting. You have to learn all aspects of the world, basically, so.
Sure.
Yeah. So maybe one day we can.
Maybe yes, for the new year, for like, so if we're still recording after episode 12, then for sure we'll do it. And we'll just commit to maybe talking Ganyagaha. Oh, so for those who are listening who don't know what Oskun Ganyagaha means, it means like just speaking in Mohawk language, like just speaking in Unguhuanaha, as people would say a long time ago in the 80s, speaking in Indian. But so that's what it means. So having a podcast where we maybe not do the whole podcast, but maybe even a portion of the podcast, we could do just in Ganyagaha. And you also reached out to your mother and asked her some things. So Degor Hiakwa has a personal beading page. It's called TS Beading. And she is also on Facebook. And she posted last week some words that her mother gave her in terms of like vocabulary for beadwork. So
because during our conversation, Will had asked if I knew how to say raised beadwork, and I didn't. I just never came across the words or just never thought to ask or whatever. So it was funny that morning we had gone to Starbucks and I just kind of caught her off guard. So
this is your mother?
My mother. For those who don't know, my mother is Geraldine Standup. She is a first language speaker. She only learned how to speak English at the age of 7, I think, when she went to Cattery school. So she does have the language, but she's also, it's weird. Like she only speaks to people that she knows that who speak or who she feels like she only can speak that to them. And then other than that, she doesn't really use it. Like she would speak at home, but not just it was more commands, or if like we were in trouble or certain things, or just to my aunts and my uncles. That was the only time I would hear her. So anyways, so yesterday last week I asked her these words. So this was what she had said for raised beadwork was Odit Nehterda Asit Dayoda. So that was Odit Nehterda Asit Dayoda was piled raised beadwork. But she said it's like piled. It's like the beads are piled. So that's the translation. Gasit Dayoda was the piled raised. Odit Nehterda Angit Dayoda. I will do raised, or I'll pile, whatever, the beadwork. And then Odit Nehterda Asit Dayoda. So you'll do whatever. So those were some of the words that she gave. And she always says it, she's like, you could be sitting in a room with 10 people and everyone will say it differently. So she said for her, this is the way her and her grandmother, or she would have heard her grandmother who raised her. Yeah. She would have said it. So that's like 100 years ago of language.
Isn't that wild? But yeah.
Yeah. So that's her grandmother, like I said, raised her, and she was the beadworker in our family. So she would, always hear her and her great aunts talking and things like that. So that's the words that she gave for that. So yeah, it was really interesting. Cool. But it's funny. I always used to, my grandmother used to be my go-to, and my grandmother also first language speaker, but my mother's mother. Okay. She lived away in Brooklyn for almost my whole life. She only came back maybe the last 20 years of her life while she was here. And I used to always call her for words, but I used to catch them off guard, and they'd get like, she'd be like, I don't know, like.
Yeah, like flustered. Like,
yeah, and she's like, well, give me a minute, and then she'd either call me back, or I'd call her, or she'd call her brother, or she'll call somebody to say like, okay, like what are these words or whatever. So, but yeah, it was always funny. So now that's my mother, like I'm trying to catch her off guard. And like I said, she doesn't use it that often. Yeah. She doesn't have a whole...
It's not as readily available as, say, your grandmother was. It's kind of further, because there's, like you said, it's like that thing. If you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, it's still there.
Yeah, but they have to undust it, kind of. And my grandmother even more so, because she lived in Brooklyn for so long. She married. I call him my grandfather, even though he's not my biological. But she married an Italian man. She never used her language. She didn't have to, because they were out there and they weren't with people from town. So the only time she would use it was when her brother would call, or her sister, or like her siblings. That was really the only time. Her and my mother didn't speak it together. So, and my mother the same kind of thing. And my mother was raised with all her aunts and uncles. My grandmother was very young kind of when she had her, which was a little bit taboo. And she left to work because they were very poor. So she left to work in Brooklyn when my mother was very young, and left her with her mother. So that's where, my mother grew up and all that. So she only spoke the language to older people, and now my mother's the older person. So it's not like she has all these people to speak with, or doesn't feel comfortable. I don't know. It is what it is. So yeah. So that's where I got those words anyways. But we were saying that it would be interesting or nice to have, if people have words that they would like us to search for, to translate, or to bring up during the our taping, then
for sure, we have there's a large contingency of people that we know who speak and yet get help, or who actually have maybe other people they could ask that we could get the information from. So.
And just like that, like having different ways of saying it too is interesting to see. Because
I never heard that before. Yeah,
and it's all descriptive, so everybody will have a different twist or word,
And depending on where you're from, like maybe in Canada, they have something else, or somewhere like, like everyone has different stuff. But so. I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting too, how like, not that like we're famous, but that people actually do listen or have heard about the podcast, because you said maybe had listened to a little bit of one, but I was away in Dominican Republic, and no, they're not listening in the Dominican Republic.
On the beach.
I don't believe so. But I was out one night, and we were, participating in adult activities, and it just so came up, like we were having like conversations. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're going to talk about it on the podcast," and I just laughed because it was a group of people who I didn't think
knew about it,
but I was just funny. It was funny because like you don't think people would be listening,
but it would be interesting. Like like I have no idea how far we reach or who
I
we
have no
reach.
idea. I mean, we have some people on Instagram, but I don't know.
Yeah, so that would be interesting if you guys dropped us a line, like right on the beading table, or like just something to say.
Yeah.
Hey, like I would like to see. I guess maybe our producers could give us a number to say, but I have no idea who we're reaching. So I do thank all of you for listening.
Yeah,
and,
because it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit mind blowing sometimes. I was just shocked because even more so with men, I don't
Yeah.
always think that like we would reach different people or different, I've had other people who are not, say, bead workers, but they're artists who.
But did I
reached
tell you
out.
that story about the person I met outside at a local at the local market here?
No, I don't think so.
So one day, maybe 2 months ago, or maybe in the summer, I was coming out of the market. The market is a local store here, and I saw somebody. I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And they're like, "Oh, fine. I was just listening to you." I was just like, "What?" Caught off guard. He goes, "I was just listening to the podcast in my truck. Like they just got out of the truck and they were listening
yes.
to the truck."
Okay, I
And
remember.
I was like, "Oh, haha!" And he was like, "It's so nice, And I was just like, "Well, the person, it was a man.
Mhm.
He wasn't a bead worker." But I was just really like caught off guard because I forgot about that we do a podcast. And he's just like,
yeah.
I was just listening. I was like, "What am I on?" Because like where was I?
What was I
And
saying?
What
What
was
did I
I
do?
saying or whatever? But yeah, so I mean, it's just interesting to see
Yeah,
where it
and
is, like
yeah.
how far it goes and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
so I was
Pretty
really
cool.
taken aback with that one.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, one of the questions was, will Gunawaga have a museum anytime soon of Iroquois beadwork? Now,
Hopefully, I think they're in the works. I don't know.
I believe they're in the planning stages
Mhm.
of creating a new cultural center museum type of
Deal.
structure.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who are interested, and I was supposed to look online and I didn't, but for those who are interested, the Ganyagahaga Ungawana Cultural Center, KOR, is having a Yuntga Tota. Yuntga Tota means like a museum. It's basically like a place where you look at stuff.
The look at things.
The look at things place. And they are having that this month. And I believe it is on the date of October 14th and 15th at the Cattery Hall here in Gunawaga. And it is a event that will open on Friday Friday and Saturday. That's the 14th and 15th of October from 1 to 9 p.m. It says here food will be served at 6 p.m. free. I'm not sure if that's both days or just one day.
Ooh.
And there'll be vendors all day. And for information, you can visit the www.korgahnawaga.org/art show. And it's an art exhibition showcasing artwork by Ungwahuma artists.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily just directed for beadwork, but for artists who are from either Gunawaga or other sister communities. And so that is happening on the 14th and 15th here at the Gaderi Hall in Gunawaga. And it's sponsored by the Ganyagahaga Ungawana Radijokwa Language and Cultural Center and TD Ready Commitment and the Tourism of Gunawaga. So if you are interested in that, and that's a free shout out to those entities, if you're interested in looking at some of the Ungahua artists, then you can go check out the Yuntga Tota. But in terms of a museum that's dedicated to beadwork, I know before at the church here in Gunawaga, the Catholic Church, there was beadwork in part of their museum, but I'm not sure exactly what, in terms of if it being open because of COVID and all that kind of jazz. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I know they had beadwork before one time there.
Yeah, they used to have it in like cases
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It was in the
back.
In the back part, yeah.
Oh, by their gift shop or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, maybe you could try to reach out to them, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah.
So I have my daughter's piece.
Oh, in the Yuntga Tota.
Yes, actually, I think there's the bead, that frame we were talking about, and the Gunawaga piece I put back in. Like those were already in because they did it last year.
The Gunawaga piece?
The community challenge piece from Nisia's. Sorry, I changed mine because it said community on it. I put Gunawaga on mine, so that's why I keep
the big
saying
one,
Gunawaga.
the big rectangle.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have those pieces in there, but the new pieces are my daughter's stuff.
Yeah.
Those are all in there too.
And I have two pieces. I have the 24 karat gold bag, and I have the Simply Elegant. Is it elegant or elegance? Simply Elegant. I think it's Simply Elegant bag too. Which, This is a shout out for a PSA for the Dreamcatchers Foundation is having an online auction and exhibition in November. And myself, along with a slew of other artists, will be participating in that. And that Simply Elegant beaded purse will be up for auction. So if you're looking for Christmas gift
Lovely.
and something that I don't normally have anything for sale, this is one thing I'll have for sale.
Cool.
So yeah, so what it is, it's an auction and it raised money for the Dreamcatcher Foundation, and half of the sale of the whichever item the artist chooses to sell, half of the money goes to the Dreamcatcher Society, the Dreamcatcher Foundation, and then the other half goes to the artist directly. So yeah, so look out for that. I'll be posting that.
Giving a lot of free advertising.
Well, it's for good causes.
Yeah,
it's nonprofits, you know, like different kind of things like that.
I'll have a shout out later when I tell my story.
Oh yeah, she's a shout out. Okay. There is the Yuntka Tutta in 2 weeks coming. So look out for that. This question kind of piggybacks almost, and I was going to bring it up when we were talking about it, but I thought maybe not. Beliefs around beading when mad or pregnant. Last week I was mad.
Mm-hmm.
There was a situation, whatever. It's personal, but whatever. Anyway, so it was this personal situation where I kind of was like totally PO'd, pissed off, and all that kind of jazz, all rolled up into one. And I had to make a cradle board wrap. I'm not done yet. But by the time this airs, I will be almost done. So I'm not finished yet, but I am very close to being done. But like I said, I was like totally like PO'd, and I was like, I can't work on this because you don't want to put bad negative energy into like some little cute little babies.
Yeah,
stuff.
especially baby stuff.
Yeah. So I think for myself, in terms of my belief, is it's a personal thing. Sometimes I don't feel like beading just because I'm not in the mood and I don't want to. I'm just not creative. I don't think that creative. I'm more of a cleaner when I'm mad. So I'd rather do that.
Be angry, cleaning.
Yeah. So yeah. But in terms of being pregnant, I was crafty the whole time. So
yeah, I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, we have.
I don't get too caught up on certain. It's like you said, it's personal.
Yeah.
To each their own, and a lot of it I don't always get caught up to it or in it, whatever. I don't know. Like, not to say that I don't follow or believe, because I think I pick and choose, I guess, which is it is what it is. But definitely for like baby stuff, or if I'm working on an order for a baby or a child, or that's heavy stuff. Like if I'm pissed or I'm angry or I'm like mourning or going through something like that, like I'm a firm believer that you should not be working while you're in mourning. But if you are angry, or that's a lot to put on a baby, like your energy is going into that. Yeah. So I do believe that. I wouldn't. But there are times where sometimes I am angry about something, or I'm going through something, maybe personal, and things are rough or whatever. Sometimes I use that to channel into my work, but in a positive, constructive way. And that's usually pieces though that are not geared for somebody. Yeah. Just I channel the energy into that piece to create something beautiful out of the bullshit that I'm going through, and not with anyone in mind, because then I don't want to put the energy on that person or to them. So that's kind of how I look at it, or how I work around all of that. But I'm also like that too. Sometimes if I'm pissed, like I can't be sitting there, like my mind goes, I can't. Like my mind goes like a mile a minute. I can't focus. Like I get frantic and crazy. Like I can't sit and do stuff. I have to. Like
I got crazy eyes. There's no way it's focusing on beadwork.
Yeah,
no
exactly. Way. So yeah. No, I can't do that. So yeah.
So that's that question. Okay. Funniest thing you've ever thought I can bead that about? And I was telling you this, I was telling Margaret the questions last week, because I asked this question last week, and I said, we should change it to the funniest thing you ever thought is, I could beat that a whole lot better.
Yeah.
That's total shade. But I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I haven't thought of that. Yes, I have.
Yeah, like, and anyone who wants to sit on some kind of pedestal and say like, oh, they're pure and what, I'm sorry, everyone's got that bullshit side to them. Like, and we do too. So I've done that where I looked at things and they're beautiful, but I'd be like, I could change it, or I would do it this way, or, whatever. So we all do it.
But in terms of like something that I thought I could bead, no. I mean, like like something that's totally not, like I thought I could bead. What was it called? What was it? I saw somebody bead something. iPhone. Okay, so iPhone case, like one of those like little purses, but it's like just for your phone kind of thing.
yeah.
I saw somebody wearing it where I work. And then I also saw somebody and posted it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to make that for the Santa Fe Indian Market.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I said I thought I wanted to make it, but I never made them.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what it is for me. Like, it's like that fleeting moment. Like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that. But I don't even do them. So
it's the quick excitement of the thought, like, oh, it's the possibilities, but who the hell's got time? Or,
well, yeah, like that's what I thought. Like, I don't have time.
yeah. And then there's always like something more pressing or more interesting to do. Like,
but I would like to. And if I do, hopefully it'd be nice, but I haven't done it.
The only thing, and it's one of those things I'll probably never do it, or like it'd be funny to do it because everyone knows like recently I've been insane with my animals. Like, so I've seen like, I don't know, there's somewhere that does like a competition for the best beaded animal things. I don't know what the heck it was. It was like there was
beaded clothing.
Yeah, there was like a dog wearing a vest and I had beadwork and then like a collar. I don't know where. Or
I don't know.
If it was a one-time thing. I have no idea. I saw it on Facebook a few years ago, but I don't know. Like it would be funny, but I just look at it like I love my animals, but why would I waste all my materials on doing something like that the animal would like just roll in shit with? Like, you know, like no, like that's ridiculous. But like those are funny things that, oh yeah, I would do that. That's like ridiculous, you know. Other than that.
But the funniest thing I ever thought of, other than the phone case isn't really funny. It's a really practical item. And I saw somebody wearing it and it looked really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it would be my animal stuff. Like clothing, like a little vest or little booties or
I don't know what the funniest
a beaded collar. I don't know though.
I don't know.
Yeah. Materials though are so expensive nowadays. So it's kind of like you don't want to just like, let's make it on a whim for nothing. I don't know. That's how I look at it. I'm like very overly practical sometimes. Like, no.
I can't wait. I can't wait to just be doing things on a whim. And that's like this, like where you said, like the season's changing, like school started. So now I'm like going to go to my job. And I was just telling my husband, I'm like, oh man, like, yes, I do like the job. It's not the job I don't like. It's not, I don't like the job.
The obligation.
It's the obligation. And I said, but I like the paycheck. And he goes, that's why anybody works is so because they need to pay. If he goes, if not, everyone would be starving or whatever. And I'm just like, but I just wanna, I think, and I think in terms of like, there's a question about how's the beading journal going, and the beading journaling is not going well for me. Like I haven't written anything, but I've thought about it immensely. Mm-hmm. But I don't have it with me and I'm not a good, I don't know. So anyway, but I was thinking about it today and it said, the question is, what is holding you back from doing your biggest project? And I think my biggest project that I want to do is I want to sustain myself out of beadwork. And that's the biggest thing. And it's the most challenging thing because it's the most unstable thing that I could do. Mm-hmm. So I am like holding back because I'm afraid to try, and not even to be, not in terms of like afraid of not succeeding. Cause it's not that, it's just unsure. Like, you know, like, I just don't know. I just don't know.
And I'm on the opposite where that is my life sustainingness now, but it's like, I have the shop. The shop doesn't rake in like thousands of dollars for me every day, you know? So it's, I get a small percentage. My whole livelihood is still through my beadwork. And I think that's what's hard is when you're doing orders and big orders and things like that. It's timely. So it takes up, you know, all of your time. So in the time that you're working, like that's kind of where I feel
like you're starving.
I'm starving. Yeah. So it's like you really have to, I like the thought has crossed my mind, like, should I go back to work to a normal job, which I've done my whole life and I hated it. Mm-hmm. I don't like working under other people. I don't like having restraint. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but because I got the taste of freedom now, I determine what I want to do and how I want to live. So to go back to a job like that, I would not, I don't think I could, it'd crush my soul, I think, you know, but, sometimes financially things get hard, like being your whole, you know, livelihood. So it isn't always easy. It is doable, but it's really managing. That's why I'm dropping all orders now, just because I'm tired of it, but because I need to have like, if I need to make money, I need to have the time. I have to be able to
make money,
to not have any other restrictions to say, oh, well, like where I'm sitting right now, like it was a really great payout for this thing that I have to do right now, but I've been working on it for like 2-3 months. in that time now, I just recently opened up a raffle I'm closing today, but I had to work through all of the guilt and all of that. Like, I shouldn't be doing this right now, but I have bills to pay. Like,
okay,
that kind of thing, So anyways, it's a pain in the ass. But it is doable. You just have to manage and figure it out, and, which I'm not always the greatest.
I know I'm not great at it either. That's why I like the study. But I mean, the job itself is wonderful. It's something I'm good at, and I appreciate it, and I feel appreciated, and I'm thankful that there's opportunities and that people are being able to access this kind of thing. And I would hope that later on somebody will be able to continue what it is that I'm doing. It's teacher coaching kind of thing for Ungohoenaha teachers. But it's that, it's like that daunting first day back at school. Like, I don't want to go, but you go and it's fun and you see your friends and whatever, and it's just good work and all that kind of stuff. I mean, maybe the kids aren't thinking about the good work, but that's what I'm thinking about. But yeah, that's where I am like right now, because I start tomorrow. This time tomorrow, I'll be sitting doing wherever in a job in not my casual clothes. I'll have my more like teacher stuff on, because, you got to be professional. So yeah, so it's like literally my hands are just sweating now just thinking about it. Like, I'll be back to work. But
so crazy.
It's only 3 days.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I mean, I've already prepped all summer and have what I got to do for all the things that I have to do in terms of beadwork and everything. Because I'm still going to beadwork like main like nonstop. They're not all orders. There's a few orders, but the majority of it is just for like family. Like my daughter's graduating and she wants this big giant like outfit, and I got to do that. And I'm thinking like, man, I really should bead her beaded skirt, like a whole black beaded skirt, really nice. But I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna take a lot of time. It's a lot of stuff. My hands are just sweating. I just got really hot too. God.
There was actually another question on Facebook this was not part of ours. It was I forget who posted it, but the question was, how many hours a day do you dedicate to your
crafting or something?
Your crafting, beadwork, sewing, painting, whatever it is. And there were a lot of interesting interesting answers. There was one. I'll stop calling people out, but there was one. He'll probably know if he listens. He did mention that it was, a lot of times the prep time is not, like added into it. All the planning, all of somebody was like, yeah, well, sometimes I do it. I'll dedicate 4 hours a day to it, but then I dedicate 6 hours while I'm sleeping, because subconsciously he's like thinking about it, like, so, but yeah, it's things like that, like I've gone to bed sometimes where I'm like, I'm planning it in my head, or I'm putting the colors together, or, and I'm like, that's what I'm thinking about.
Or you're thinking about it all day because you're doing other things and thinking, I should be at this.
Yes.
That's the part that really plays, like, that's where you become your worst critic, or the worst part is when you're like, knowing you got to do it, but you can't because you physically and mentally are doing something
somewhere else.
Yeah, and you can't do it, but you're thinking about it the whole time. It's plaguing on you because you just want to be creative, or you just want to be like, you just know your commitment has to be to that.
Yeah, exactly. And being somebody who this is my sole job right now, or a part of my sole job, I have to dedicate time almost every day, and if I don't, then I do fall behind, like, especially like this in an order. But yeah, per day, I could spend like 4 to 6 hours per day sitting. I usually have like my routine. The morning, I'll sit and bead. I kind of used to bead like really late into the night. As I get older, I notice I can't do it anymore because I don't want to feel like shit the next day.
Same. I can't do the same. I can't do it.
Yeah. So I get up. I don't like to get up super early, like how you get up at like 5 or whatever to bead. I can't do that. But I set my time where I get up. My kids are gone to school. Everybody's set. Everybody's okay. I make my coffee. I make my breakfast. And I sit until I have to go to work at 12. So, that's...
So like 4 hours at least.
4 hours in the morning and then sometimes in the evening. I don't bead too much at night because of lighting now too. I'm trying to take care of my eyes. I don't want to be blind at the age of 60 or whatever. So that kind of thing too. Like, I have lights for it, but they don't always help. So, so that's like my timeline, I think, like for beading and stuff like that, or how much time I dedicate in a day. And Yeah.
I don't know myself. Like now I'm winding down to like I would say my most productive time is the summer just because I'm productive all the time, but I guess maybe like I haven't beaded since Wednesday when I was beading at the shop that day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't touched the beadwork since then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a lot of days. Now we're Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's six days, almost 5 days.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. But I mean, I also was not just home. I was driving all over the place. But I think for me, in terms of how many hours a day I bead, I would say like maybe if accumulated, like maybe 3 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's a 7-day, like 21 hours a week, maybe less. I'm not even sure. My husband probably would say more because like I can't really I don't keep track. And it's hard for me to have perspective in terms of what it is because it just feels like second nature. It just feels like okay to me to be like I don't feel it as a job. Like when I'm doing it, I'm loving it. It's like I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It does feel pressure sometimes because it's an order or whatnot, but I always enjoy it, so it doesn't feel like work until it does. But my husband would know more because he would know the amount of time I'm not engaged in
kids or home or
life.
all
that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily know, but I would say like at least 3 hours a day, if that. But then some days it's like maybe like 6 hours. But again,
it
it's
depends.
the accumulation of like 21 hours at 30 hours, maybe 30 hours a week. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I could like really dedicate 30 hours a week. Maybe I will someday, but
how it goes.
that's what I say. Like next year, after June, my contract will be up. I'll be back. Every year, I'm the same way. No, I'm not going to work. Yes, I'm going to work. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really want to buy this, and I really want to do that. And
Yep.
But yeah, so that's that. So that was from the funniest thing you said you could ever be. No. That question was how many hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Another question is how many? Oh, not how many friends you've made because of beading. Well, I'm sitting right here talking to one of the friends I made through beading. They go, Yakwa, stand up.
Yay.
But yeah, there's a lot, I guess.
I think it's more wild now because of, obviously social media, but just going places now and people are like, hey, I know you, I follow you. And, or I'm the same way where I'm like, hey, I know that person because I follow them. Like there's just so many more avenues. We were even saying that about my son, like now that he's in lacrosse and things like that, but he just got into lacrosse and all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I know this person. And I'm like, how do you even know? He's like, I got Instagram and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot, like, so our outreach is a lot bigger now than it was say 20 years ago or 10 years ago. But I have made quite a few friends from beadwork and just, it's like networking a little bit, and not to say for gain, but it's just because that they know what you're doing too. Like because we're all in the same cycle of things. Like even if we're not in the same community, even when you start reaching out and doing shows and traveling and doing things like that, then you definitely start seeing all different artists and stuff like that, and you start to create those friendships and stuff like that. That's kind of what happened with like Grant, Michael Galbin, called Jamie Jacobs. Like they're not people who live here. Oh well, within Kahnawake, but now we have a have like a connection. Yeah.
And speaking of friends, is that not during COVID because of course everyone was isolated and sheltered in their homes trying to stay safe. I would bead with a group of women. There was 2 groups, but more regularly we would bead on Tuesday night, and we call ourselves the Beading Biddies. And as luck would have it, they started back last Tuesday.
Oh, I keep seeing all the.
And so the hostess, I'm going to call you Miss Trudy Thomas, baked all kinds of wonderful pies and whatnot. But unfortunately, I was under the weather. My allergies were playing a number on me. And so I wasn't able to go. But so tomorrow is Tuesday and I'm hoping I can make it. But again, the darn scheduling, kids got this, kids got that, paying taxi and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I can make it because it's a place where we get together. There's how many are there? I want to say there's like maybe 9 of us, if not a little bit less than 10 right now. I don't want to call them out by name on my hands, but yeah. So like just say there's like 10 of us and we get together. Usually Trudy, she hosts it, and some people just come for the snacks, which is totally cool. Don't do the beadwork, but that's great. And it's just a place you come together and you talk about like just whatever, like, you know.
Life and yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is with the classes. I've met so many people, especially like you said, through because of COVID.
Yeah.
All my classes went online.
Yes.
But that opened up so many doors to everybody else. So it was like right across the Confederacy. I've had people from BC taking some of the classes, like so that was nice. Like that's really how I met a lot of different people. And like half of the people on my Facebook, I don't even think I've ever met more than half of them in real life.
Yeah.
But I know all about them and I know them. And some people will message me and we talk and like, hey, how's it going? How's your family? How's things going? And
that's
I
nice.
Never even met them in real life, you know. But it's it's nice to
have that appreciation for the same kind of artwork kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's cool.
Your opinion or experiences with trades? I have one right now. Somebody from the community, I'm going to call him out, Martin Loft Photography, gave me a pot, like a Hopi pot, and we were trading. So I have to make a medallion. So I got that coming up. So yeah, so that's one experience I have for trades. I don't really make medallions. I was going to just trade him a pair of moccasins, but he wanted a medallion. So I'm like, yeah, cool, that's good. But I'm like, so I'm having a hard time with the medallion, but it's doable. So that's the only trades I really do. I don't really do trades like in terms of like a large, big thing. Cause like, you know, that if I'm making something that's really like major, I kind of want the money for it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't need
another thing.
I don't need something unless it's like, say it's a brand new stove or I don't know, like, you know, like that kind of thing. I don't know. That's for myself. I'm not really, that may be just not so ungwe of me not to do a trade, but I don't really need anything.
You're a bad Indian.
I could make it myself. No,
no, but that's how I feel too. On top of it being somebody who's like a minimalist, like I don't like stuff all over the place. And I like, even if it's beautiful, if I don't have a use for it, then whatever, you know, like I have only so much space in my hutch. I'm not trying to pack that in either. So I'm the same in that sense, but I do trades. Like the one great trade that I had that I was so happy and proud of. Years ago, I made a basket with Richard Nolan, who's from Kahnawake, and he's an amazing basket maker, local here. And he taught us how to do these baskets. And I had made 2 in the time that he taught us. Like I just caught it really fast. And I remember him even saying like, holy crap, like in all the years I taught, I never had somebody make 2, but I was so dedicated. I'm like, I'm doing this. And I made one that was
picnic basket.
Sort of, yes, but I altered it a little bit. So it was like a picnic basket almost more like a laundry basket type of thing. But I put all the curls all around the things, and what's that called? He really liked it, and that was it. Like we just years later when I opened the store though, he started selling baskets through the shop. So I was looking for a pack basket, but not a huge one because I had made a huge one as well as that laundry basket. And it was just too big for my needs. I just wanted like the smaller. He makes them in different sizes. So I had asked him, I said, can I place an order for a smaller, like a medium size one, you know? So he's like, yeah, sure. So when he brought it, I was, you know, ready to pay and whatever. And he's like, well, I'll trade you for that basket that you made in my class. And I'll give you the one that I just made. So I was like, oh my God, are you sure? You know, like, and he was like, yeah, he really liked that basket. And I wanted, you know, and I wanted the other one. Like I had loved it. So, so that was a great trade. That's what we did. And he actually gave me 2 baskets where I was like, no, you don't need to, like, so he gave me 2 baskets for that big basket that I made him.
That's nice. That's really good. That's a good trade.
So I was like so happy. I still have it. I still use it. I use it for, I used to just actually use it just to carry stuff in it, like bring it around. It's a pack baskets, you know, even like what colors do you want? I just wanted it plain black for like the ties and everything. And so, and it's right now, like when it's not in use, it's beautiful, you know, decor. I have it hanging in the kitchen. So so that was my best trade, I think. And it wasn't anything of beadwork though, which was weird. Like, you know, I would have given him beadwork, but he loves baskets. Like that's why so that was a good trade, and he taught me how to do it. So
that was a nice story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really giving up his time, Richard. He wants
Yeah.
just to teach and to be able to help
Help.
those who want to learn, who want to help themselves by learning with that kind of
Yeah,
art.
exactly.
Yeah. So the last question was, how's the beading journal going? I already kind of answered that. It's not going so great. So I guess the next question is for the beading journal is, why can't you journal?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the next question for the beading journal is. I'll have to post it on Instagram. I have to think about it because I really didn't think about it. Because like generic or organically, I should say, that question started in like, I think it was July or June that I had that question for the first beading journal. How is the beading journal going for everyone who's listening? If you've started one, drop us a line and let us know.
Yeah, even if you post a picture of it, tag us in it to see the different ideas or how things are coming along.
Because maybe you are more successful than I am.
Yeah.
And that's good because maybe I can learn from your success.
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet either. Just because I said, like, I feel like I'm in a stagnant place right now. So I'm just like, yeah, I haven't done anything yet either with it anymore. I think actually, no, you know what? I did journal just to say where I was at about the orders that I was doing. And I was just, but it's just generic, like, yeah, it's still here. It's the same old spot. So it's not anything exciting. So, but yeah.
Okay, so here comes the role reversal.
Oh, God.
So welcome to Role Reversal, where our hosts talk about how they are the clients and not the creators. That was just a mouth to fly. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Margaret was telling me a story this morning, and I said, are we going to be able to replicate the reactions on the podcast? And that's what happens a lot of times is we talk about either the questions that are asked or we have different things that happen in our lives and we talk about it at the shop or just when we meet up with each other just because we're just talking and then thinking like, oh, how are we going to be able to talk about this again and make it as organic as it was? But it's kind of funny. So you start.
Okay. So
wait, I will set the tone. This is what I got last night or this morning. I woke up to this like, oh my God. Oh my effing God. I have a topic for tomorrow. Nightmare clients. It's me. The nightmare client. Tell you more in the AM. So that's what I woke up to this morning because she sent it at 10 o'clock. And by then I was already sleeping.
Oh.
So how are you the nightmare client?
Okay. So this poor man. Okay. So it all started when, so I follow another artist who does absolutely amazing, beautiful work. And he is an artist. His name is Bruce Boots. So I'm doing a call out. Bruce Boots. He does beautiful work. And recently he started doing portraits of people's pets. And like I said, I'm crazy with my animals.
Yes.
Like I have the 2 ferrets, Loki and Tilly, and we have Georgia, the brown, what is she? Boston Terrier.
If anybody's looking to see what Loki and Tilly are, they do have an Instagram page.
Yeah, because I'm
and
insane.
A viral video. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I have these 3 animals and whatever. So I had reached out to him before we actually had Georgia, I believe, to have him do a portrait of the ferrets. So if you haven't checked out, you can totally, by all means, check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He's under
it's excellent work.
Yeah, Bruce.
It's so
Boots.
good.
Bruce Boots. And he does portraits of your animal, but he'll put them all in traditional clothing and whatever backgrounds you want, you can kind of.
It's so good. The detail is excellent.
It is. They're amazing. Everything about it is like, I love that too. I really love, it's modern art, it's different. It's like kind of quirky, like, but his colorings, his texture, everything is amazing. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I reached out, like I said, and by the time that we really talked about the time, like when we would get started, because he had other obligations to do first, by the time we kind of got back together, we had Georgia now. So I said I still was interested, but we had a new pet and she was very small. She was a puppy. So I didn't want to get her face and knowing that she was going to look different in a few weeks or so. So I said, can we push it and wait? So he said, sure. So now, fast forward, we're back in touch because the dog's bigger now. She's almost full grown. So now we're in the works. So here's where everything well, it didn't go to hell, but I guess I'm like, I overthink and I'm a psychotic panicker. So we have been communicating through text. And if for those of you who don't know me personally, I like very soft, muted, white colors. Like that's my vibe. I like everything very calm and neutral. And I do like black, but that's the extent of it. And I don't, whatever.
And pops of color here and there, but very limited.
Yes, and very, very small doses of it. So anyways, so when we started discussing everything, I had a painting that he did. I sent him of the backgrounds and I said, I love this and whatever. So that's what we work through. So, and as he works on it, he sends me constant updates like every other day when he works on it, which is great. So he showed me the background. It was great. So then he was asking about their clothing now, like the animals' clothing. And I sent a couple of examples for like with color palettes that I had really liked. So when he wrote, I didn't realize that on one of them, there were names on the pictures, on the colors. So what I ended up doing was I was looking at it and he said home decor, family or whatever. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And this was me miscommunicating, not clarifying. And I don't know. So anyways, I didn't really know, like I said, what he was saying. So the conversation ended up rolling into something else. And he said, well, we should stick with warmer colors. Mm-hmm. He meant from that palette. That's what he meant. From the palette that I actually just said that we just talked about. So me misunderstanding, I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe that's what he means. Like I need to get different colors, like a whole warmer palette, like warmer because the ones I sent were kind of neutral-ish. But anyways.
But the girl Yakwa shows me the picture. She's like, this is like, oh, she says like, so she's telling the story and she says like, yeah, this is what I showed him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally your colors. Like everything she said. I didn't even see the names until she tells the story. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, so I didn't catch it. So like I said, it just gradually rolled into like we started moving on to the next thing. So I said, okay. I said, I'll send you warmer colors for the other two animals because we already had set Georgia's stuff. So now Loki and Tilly, I was going to look for different things for them. I sent warm colors like.
I loved, okay, so
yeah.
She showed me the colors. I liked them. But then the next part of the story.
So he sends them and he did an amazing job. And it's only the roughing. That's what he called
beautiful.
It. The roughing of it. And it's just like the color, like I don't know, like the main parts are on, but the detailing is not all in there yet. And even just like that is amazing. So I looked at it. I thought it was beautiful. I showed my daughter and she was like, she loved it too. She's like, it's beautiful. I showed Greg. Everyone loved it or whatever. And then I kind of went into panic mode. And then it just sat there and I was like.
Internally festing.
I was like a complete nutbag in that house for like 2 hours. Like even Greg was like, all right, like shut the hell up now. Like, but I couldn't, it kept nagging at me because I'm like, it's a custom order.
Yep.
I need to be clear because it's not fair for him if I'm wishy-washy on things either. But how do I do it without being a nightmare client? Like, how do I do this and say like, I felt.
It's not you, it's me.
That's how I felt. Like this guy's going to kick me in the pie soon. Like get it together. So what ended up happening was it bugged me too much to the point where I first wrote, I said, is there a way to like kind of mute the colors a little bit? Because they were beautiful, bold, rich colors. Uh-huh. And like you said, like I love them, but probably in smaller doses. Yeah. On top of it, I'm going to be hanging it in my living room. Everything in there is being painted white soon. Mm-hmm. So everything, it's going very obviously white and bright and whatever. And they're very rich and it would actually look good in there, but it's not the vibe I was going for. But it's based off of what I sent. I agreed to it. It's not that he misunderstood anything. It's me. I agreed to it anyways, that was on me. So he was so understanding, so patient. He was like, yeah, that's fine. We can, I'll whitewash it and lighten it up. So I was like, okay. And I felt better. I did feel better. But Sam was still nagging at me. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, so I was looking through some of his pictures that he had done. And there was one specific one that I loved the background and the color of the clothing. Everything is soft and muted and all that. So I was looking at it and I'm like, let me go back and check these messages. Like, what's going on here? You know? So I went back and then I realized what he meant. From that color palette I sent, every like there was like little circles of color all throughout the whole palette. They all had names and he named the damn colors on there. And that's what I missed. I don't know if I just didn't understand.
It's not like ochre. It's like home decor.
Yeah. So now I'm thinking like, what does he mean home decor? And I'm thinking like, wait, what does he mean vacation? I'm like, blues? Like, and I didn't see the names and the color. So it was like a color swatch that was named. So now I'm like, now I saw it. Now I caught it. And now I clicked on the thing. All of the colors that he chose are exactly the colors that I love. They're all muted. They're all calm and peaceful. And I was like, I am such an idiot. This poor man did all of this work. And I don't know how quick he works but you know, like it's a lot of work. And the painting is big. It's not a small little painting. So I had to rewrite again and say, I'm so sorry. I just went through all the messages and now I understand what you were talking about with this. I said, I love those colors that you basically originally said. And here we went through a whole other cycle of colors and blah, blah, blah. So I felt horrible. And he probably caught it in my text where he was like, I felt like I just had to keep like explaining myself because I felt so bad. Like, because we talk about this all the time. I have been that artist that has to take on clients that are like wishy-washy or don't know what they want or like change things up all the time. So that's what I was worried about. I'm like, I don't want to be a nightmare for this man. Like, and I don't, but then I'm like, but you have to speak up.
Yeah,
like,
you have to say
I have to say it. And it just like the vibe wasn't, you know, and I actually probably could have done with just the whitewash of it, but then I was still like, something was bugging me. Anyways. So it all got worked out.
It was so crazy though, because we were like laughing. I was like laughing hysterically, like, "Oh my God, that is totally your colors." And what the animals were wearing were totally what I was like. "Oh my God, that's beautiful. I love it." And you're like, yeah,
I'm like,
no,
yeah, like, and like I said, it's not beautiful. It's not that it's not beautiful or anything. It's just like
it's just not your tone.
It's just not my tones.
Vibe.
Yeah, even though I agreed to it, which dummy, I don't know what happened there and how. I don't know. That was me. It was me and my communication and not being clear and not whatever. So yeah. So anyways, I felt really ridiculous and dumb but it's all getting fixed and I trust this man and I trust that, like it's me that I have to make sure that I communicate properly. So now being on the other end of it, being the person who is not being clear, who misunderstood, it gave me an appreciation for some of my clients that I have probably dealt with or maybe in future that, like.
So you didn't have a softer hand?
Yeah, because sometimes, I get it. I have a short.
I think that's where you and that's why I'm more better at custom work than you are.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind that.
And I'm like.
But I also like, I mean, he was clear.
It's me.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. But now I know, now I'm like, I see how easy it can be misconstrued, like from the client point of view, and it's a lot of work. I'm an artist. I paint. I understand the work that he had to do and all of that. So, and I just kind of felt so deflated because I'm like, I really hope I'm not crushing this guy where he's like, oh my God. Because I have felt that before where I've done so much work on something and then somebody is like, well, and I'm like.
Just one word could distinguish it all. And it's just like.
Yeah. And then you just feel
gone.
deflated.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really hope that I didn't create that feeling for him. I'm like, that's what I'm just hoping, like gets, reconciliated through that. Like I just
Reconciliation. You can't buy it, they say.
Yeah. Anyways. So that was my my experience. But it's funny, like I have to kind of go into another story of kind of all of this.
Because you said you're going to say it, because I had asked, we were talking and she said, well, I'm going to talk about it later about why I can't do that. So there's something.
Yeah. So the reasoning, because me and my mother are always at odds, like things like that. She's always like, well, she's joking in quotations, but she's not like, she'll be like, ugh, all your stuff, you're like, you don't like color and everything's so blah. And I'm like, oh, all right, whatever, lady. Like, like, and she likes color. She likes bolder colors in the house.
Yeah,
like,
she's like orange walls, right? Like really dark.
Yeah, she's got like, so she loves that. I'm the opposite. So for me, I have anxieties. I have OCD tendencies. I'm a minimalist. I have, those are my things. I'm very, I can be rigid in some things and I'm aware of it. I know it. I know where it stems from. That's childhood traumas and all that other good stuff. So
all that spice of life.
Yeah, all that bullshit. So I know that. I know I'm aware of that. I probably do run into the areas of like ADD, ADHD kind of thing. In my head, it's always a mess.
Oh,
things are so damn fast. Things are always moving so quick. I think a mile a minute, and it's hard for me sometimes to organize myself mentally. That's why I get overwhelmed quickly, or I get annoyed fast, I guess. I don't know. So I create spaces that are calm for me because inside I'm not. Yeah. A lot of the times, like I've had to work really hard to learn all of these things about myself and how to manage it. And so my exterior side of me likes that calmness because it helps to remind me to create that calmness internally. So for me, that's why I like calm, muted spaces. I like things order and clean, and because a lot of times I lack that mentally. So that's where it comes from, like for me anyways. So yeah. So when I saw those big bold colors, I was like, oh, holy shit. And at first I did like them when I sent, because I sent him the color. Because they look
nice. It's just not.
It on a big scale like that, I found it so overwhelming. Like I literally felt it overwhelming. Because I'm like, I'm going to walk into this white, clean room.
And see that.
And see very bold, dark, beautiful, like very rich tones. There were jewel tones and all that. And I was like, oh, I could feel it. I couldn't breathe. And I was like, Greg's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, they're like, it's beautiful. The only critique my daughter had was like, oh, well, the orange. She didn't like the orange color. But I was like, I liked all three, you know.
It looked really good.
But it was like, I can't do it. I need this space to be calming with what the vibe I'm trying to do. Yeah. So that was my freak out. But because I spun my damn wheels last night and panicked and had like that, I wasn't really panicking, but I had that like feeling like, oh shit. And I was like, I have to address this. I have to talk to him about it, whatever. I couldn't go to bed till about 1 o'clock in the morning because my body was still and my brain was still trying to catch up with everything. So it was really annoying. Yeah, I put myself through a tizzy last night. So anyways, it's all worked out. Like,
it's rectified.
Yeah, originally we were on the same page. It was me that just totally like derailed the whole damn thing. And yeah, so he said that he was gonna, go back over it and send today or whatever. But he is, so if, like I said, if you guys wanted to follow the process of this whole thing, he didn't post what he sent to me. He just posted the background, but he's probably only going to post the new things that I created. Yeah. So you're going to miss like these colors. The bold. And like I said, the bold and the beautiful. He's going to change it up, but he is posting progress shots on it. He asked permission if I didn't mind. And at first I was going to keep it quiet because I didn't tell my family that I was doing it. And I was just going to like surprise them at Christmas. But I was like, I don't mind for the posting. So I told them, I said, because it's going to be on Facebook. People may tag me in it. Yeah. Which somebody did the other night. They were like, is this you? Like, it was a Gordeteka. He's like, Gigo. So I'm like, maybe. I'm like, oh God. But who the hell else in Gunawaga has 2 ferrets and a dog? Like, so cat's out of the bag. Yeah, so that was my process. That was the whole nightmare client story. And I have a group chat. some of my friends, and we were laughing last night because I just said, I feel like such an idiot, or like, I just, whatever. And my friend Sarah was like, she's like, it's okay. She's like, he probably has a whole group chat where he's like, this bee is like, like
ruining my life.
Yeah.
She says one thing and then she wants a whole other thing.
She changes the whole damn thing. So anyways,
It'd just be a typical day at the bead shop at Traditions.
Yeah,
where we're talking about, where we're talking about our clients.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
But yeah, so that was the whole ordeal. But this whole crazy story goes into a question that was posed on Facebook, not towards us, but like, we troll and we see things.
Yeah. And so
yeah,
I'm just going to read it exactly how it's written. And should we say who wrote it or no?
I don't know, just because I don't know.
Okay. So we're not going to say who it is, but if you're listening,
want to. Yeah.
Then this is your question, just because the question was, and we're going to wrap it up after this because we are running very late. So it was just like, if a client made a deposit on an order and you purchased the materials that they approved of, then changed their mind, then eventually asked for something totally different, what do you do? And so that's like very common. That's very like similar to what you just experienced.
That's exactly what I just bloody did.
But the only difference is that paint and beading materials or sewing materials or anything like that is like, you can use the paint somewhere else.
And you can go over things,
it. So I don't know about like, some people are saying, yes, you should keep deposit. That should be part of like like what it is. Some people said like maybe the person should buy the material, like the person who's making the order should buy the materials, and then it would be on them. And so I don't know, like we've had conversations about deposits before.
Yeah.
But people not getting their work done or not. But this isn't even, the work hasn't even been done yet, I don't believe, but the materials have been bought.
Yeah. So what ended up happening to me, because I had something similar where I had made an order and I bought all the materials though. Yeah. And it was on us that it ended up having to be changed. It was my daughter's outfit because when I bought all of her material, thankfully none of it got done though. Like it wasn't, she didn't start working on it, but I gave her all of the materials that I paid for. Mm-hmm. And once I completed her beadwork, the velveteen color was totally being thrown off because it was a like stark white shirt with an off-white, and it didn't look nice. So thankfully, like I said, but personally, as the client, if she would have started the work, I would have paid for that work. Mm-hmm. I would have said like, this is on me. Like, I will compensate you for your time and any work that you've already put into this. And I'll take all my material back. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. If somebody buys the material and they give it to you, the person who's doing whatever it is should get the material back. Yeah. And that's what we did. She gave me all of the materials back, and there was nothing done yet. Yeah. Because she saw it too, because she saw my progress reports, and she kind of thought she was like, I was thinking the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, I said, only when I started really doing, I'm like, oh man, this ain't going to match. So we ended up reversing it and changing it. Yeah. I rebought all of my own materials and then gave it back to her. And then, so that's the way I worked it. I don't know all the details with this scenario. Yeah. I don't know who bought the materials or. No, I think the person who's making the stuff bought the material. It's not the client who bought the material, but the client approved of the materials. So that's where the person who's making it, the creator, is out the money for the materials I bought, which the person should then compensate for the material. Yeah, so that's what I would do as the artist. Like I even in that situation, I don't think I would be too annoyed or anything. I would just, but you have to state it like, I'm sorry though, like I did buy these materials, or I am out. Like I do have to charge you for that. Yeah. Plus, if you want to buy your own material for the to change, or you have to pay me to buy the new material. Yeah, exactly. Extra. Yeah, that's how I would handle it too. Just, but it's like I said, communication, and just trying to find if you're on the right page. And like Greg was saying last night, he's like, well, maybe you should talk like instead of text. And I was like, but he's in Aguizasne. And he's like, you can call. I'm like, oh yeah, duh. But I'm like, this guy's going to see me calling and be like, oh, what the hell? You know? Like, why is she calling? No, but he was really awesome. He was super professional about all of it. Like, he really helped me and like calm because I told him, I said, I'm really sorry. Like, I really feel like I don't want to be this nightmare client. He's like, no worries. It's easier to change it now because we're still in the beginning stages. Like, it'd be 10 times worse if we're like almost to the end now. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I really don't like the shirts. And everything's on there now. Like, that would be awful. So yeah, he was really awesome with the whole thing. So yeah. So, yep.
So on that
That's
note, the role reversal has reared its ugly head. But maybe maybe I'll have a role reversal next time. Probably not, but because I don't buy anything usually. So so I guess that's like where it comes to the end of our podcast.
Yep. Wrap it up.
This is a shout out to Yagudi Wadoga Hemlock and Nolan on the birth of their son. Congratulations. Your cradle board wrap will be in the mail when it's done. Woohoo! So with that being said, this is Leith and Tegariakwa signing off for the beading table. We will be better organized next month.
It's all those gas fumes going to our head. Okay, bye. Anna.
The views and opinions of the guests expressed in this podcast do not reflect those of Iorì and its employees.